This is the first small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti in Bombay, 1977.
My question that I thought we could discuss was how can the fragmented mind, or the mind that is caught in fragmentation, is identifying with itself and caught up with itself, how can that mind appreciate fragmentation, or observe it, or see it?
Relay. I mean, it's a dialogue, join in.
If I could go on a bit about the question.
Please.
It seems to me that a couple things happen when we get caught up in fragmentation. One is that, of course, we're always more and more identified with each step along the way. There's an accumulation and a centering. Each thought sort of postulates itself and projects itself further into greater realms and connections, so that it has a certain momentum. So again, that's another question, which is what about this momentum of fragmentation? Same question. And I mean, as this goes along, then you've talked about control and the controller. Somewhere along the line, there's again this whole feeling of things are moving so fast that the controller asserts itself. So now you're into another aspect of the fragmentation. And really the question is one of this momentum. How we see this momentum. Who's going to be seeing it?
So are you saying, how can a fragmented mind, fragmented action, see itself as a fragment?
Right.
Is that it?
That's it.
I wonder what you mean by fragment. I'd like to start.
Right.
What do you mean by fragment?
Something that's caught up, that is in pieces, and there are two parts to fragmentation, I think. One is it has from the inside of it, it's in pieces itself. So there's one piece and then there's another piece.
I'm asking a different question, sir. First, how does the fragmentation take place? And what's the cause of that fragmentation? And what do we mean by a fragment? Are we aware of this whole process, the causation, the effect, which is a fragment, and that fragment has its own activity, its own action, its own continuity? Can all this be seen as a whole? Am I making it difficult?
No, sir, but if I may say, what makes us state that there is a whole?
Huh?
What makes us state that there is a whole?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, that's why
Can one see this
First of all,
total movement of this?
Total movement of what?
Of the causation, the fragmentation, and the fragment acting. And that action, being fragmented, has its own fragmentary action continually going on. That's what he was trying to say.
But
a constant movement of fragmentation in action.
No, but for the mind to even concern itself with fragmentation, it must postulate something which is non-fragmented.
Does it?
Otherwise, what is fragmentation?
I know what is fragmentation. I say one thing and do another. That's a fragmentation.
No, but it is the very mind which is causing the fragmentation, which says it is fragmentation.
No, I understand that. But I'm asking, what is fragmentation? What brings about fragmentation? That is really, and the fragment having its own a continuity of action and so on and so on. So we're asking, what brings about fragmentation?
Thoughts.
Thought. What do you mean by thought, sir?
Movement of the mind.
What do you mean by sorry? Let him come. You said this now, sir. Fragmentation takes place when there is the movement of thought. What do you mean by thought?
It's a ripple in consciousness.
A ripple in consciousness. What do you mean by consciousness? Sorry, sir. Be careful. I mean, what do you mean
The
by
field
consciousness?
of my knowledge, field of the extension of my mind, wherever it reaches.
So, when you use the word ripple, it's a movement.
It's a movement.
And consciousness is quiet, according to what you say, and the ripple is the movement of thought in consciousness. Is that so? What do you mean by consciousness? I think you land yourself in a great deal of difficulty, so go slowly. Because we're all rather good at discussion. We've been at it for 50 years. So, not verbally trying to trip you over or trying to...
Not at all.
Just a minute. It's not an argument. It's not a dialectical splitting hairs and opinions. We're trying to find out actually what's going on, actually, not theoretically, not a supposition, a conclusion, but actually what's going on, which is we live and act in fragmentation. That's a fact. And we're asking what is the cause of that fragmentation. You just said thought. And what is thought? The moment you say it's a ripple in consciousness, you've already come to a conclusion. Therefore, all investigation stops. Sorry. So we are trying to find out what is thought, which brings about fragmentation, if you are according to Rome. Right, sir? And from that fragmentation, all action takes place. Me and not me, we and they, Hindu, Muslim, and all that blasted stuff. Right? So, what is the root of fragmentation? What's the basic root of fragmentation? If we can come to that and then work it from there.
So, don't we have to find out what it is a fragment of?
We're going to do that, sir, presently. What is the cause of fragmentation? So, look, what is the cause of fragmentation in the world? Nationalities, religious divisions, class divisions, theoretical divisions, different divisions of ideologies, divisions of belief, and so on and so on. It's all a world, actual world of fragmented geographically, historically, economically, socially, and so on, religiously. It's all fragmented. Now we're asking, what is the root of that fragmentation?
Isn't it, sir, that capacity which is within me, that sense which is within me, which says I can direct, I can choose, I can move, I can do. It is that which,
That's already a fragment.
yeah, but it is that faculty in us, that sense in us.
That's already a fragment, though, that very faculty.
Maybe a fragment, but it is that which continues this momentum of fragmentation, being itself. Do you see?
But where does that come from?
No, the whole point is, when one says that is a fragment, does one really see that as a fragment?
No. That's what I was, as you were talking, and as Krishnaji was talking, if I see the fact that there are Hindus and Buddhists, and I see the fact that there's Israelis and Arabs, and I'm on the other side of it somehow. I'm not really, I see fragmentation from the outside there. What is the event of being fragmented, of knowing it from the inside, from this side? I can always see fragmentation as a scientist, from the other side. But to live inside of that fragmentation and then to know it.
Well, it's fairly simple, sir. If I'm an Arab.
Fully an Arab, right?
Huh?
All right, you're an Arab, okay.
I'm an Arab.
Right.
Not the rich kind, but I'm an Arab. And I live in that. I live within that limited, dogmatic Muslim belief and all that. I live in that. I don't call that fragmentation.
No.
Because that is the only thing I know. You come along and say, you are a fragmented entity, because you look at it from the outside, and I look at it as though that's my nature. I am full, I'm an Arab, and I live in that.
Can the thought see that it is a fragment itself?
No, I don't want to go into that yet. Don't go into that so quickly, sir. So I'm asking, what is the root of this causation of fragmentation?
So don't you think we are born with a brain which its first primary perception is of myself as the perceiver and the world, the I and the not I. And I am not aware that there is anything wrong
I
or
wonder,
that this is not
Abhijit, if that is so.
It's a fact.
No, wait a minute, sir, I'm not quite sure.
David, I see fragmentation. The moment I have a personal experience or a collective experience, when there is identification with personal experience and collective experience, there is fragmentation. The collective experience may be the Hindu, the personal experience may be certain experiences. So long as there is identification of both these, I can see fragmentation inwardly on this side, as you put it.
Surely selfishness is one of the root causes of fragmentation.
Tradition, sir, you say the root causes.
Selfishness.
Huh?
Selfishness.
Selfishness. But you see, what do you mean by explore it a little bit, sir? You haven't answered my question yet. You say selfishness, he says thought, some other. But what is the truth of the matter, not opinions?
No, sir, it's the division between what you think on one hand and what you say do on the other. And what causes this? Why shouldn't a person do exactly what he thinks or feels to be right? Is somewhere there is an element of this self-interest or selfishness, whatever you choose to call it, that intervenes and says, no, do that, not this.
But that's the question. Why that? I mean, that's what he's asking. What's the causation of that, not that?
You see, that when you can find a number of things, selfishness, envy, you can, put it all into compartments and say this is the cause of that, is the cause of that, is the cause. But if you draw them all in, what is the in which makes that possible? What is it within us which is breaking up and breaking up and breaking up and breaking up and refusing to see anything except through the breaking up?
So aren't we all divided by our own perceptions?
Perception, I'm sorry, when you use the word perception, what do you mean by that? You see
From
that.
the way you are conditioned to look at things.
No, you see that.
Yes, sir.
How do you see it?
See it as a microphone.
No, I know. A microphone is the idea first and the fact later.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm asking.
Is it idea first and
No,
fact?
when you, sorry, a little slowly. Is the word microphone, of which you have a picture, and you say that's a microphone? Or do you see it without the word, and then say it is a microphone? You see the difference?
Yes, I see the difference.
So, may I little go into it, sir? May I? There's always all the senses is the factor of division. Something you have found out as we go along. You see. Senses do not senses function fragmentarily. Huh?
I think they function in two ways. I think there's an act of the senses in which they don't function fragmentarily, but then in the act of fragmenting the perception, in other words, I think there's a sense in which we perceive totally, and then when we break it down, it's fragmented. Then I say I see it.
I'm questioning. When you see a flower, do you see it totally, or do you have the sensation first, the visual sensation, the contact, and so on, so on? So I'm asking, I may be wrong, I'm questioning, whether the senses are not one of the factors of fragmentation.
I am afraid not, sir.
Huh?
It's not the senses.
All
but
the sense, singular.
The sense and in the singular.
Singular.
Because
The-
I
Go,
experimented
go.
very slowly.
Un momento, signore. I mean,
I am going very slowly, sir.
no, sir. I've just stated something which I'm assimilating myself. Which is the sense, singular, is the cause of fragmentation.
I think that when you walk, if you think about it, if you walk across a room, when you walk across a room, you are perceiving in a certain global sense. In other words, all the perspectives as you walk across this room, you will be perceiving different. You will be a ongoing change of relationship to all of the planes of light and space that are in the room. So that's a total thing. But once you say, well, I see with my eyes, then you've got what you're talking about. Then you're into the fragmentation.
So do you, when you walk into a room, see the whole room? Huh? All the proportions, the light and the shade, the pictures, the carpets, the chairs. Take it all in with one glance?
I think you're biasing it by using the word see and glance, because already you fragmented it.
No, I'm using the word see and glance the same way.
What I'm saying is I think there's an act of perception which is so quick, so fast, that has nothing to do with vision. Then when vision enters, it is fragmented. I think you're right. That once vision becomes, then you've got the sense which is fragmented. Right.
the sense or sensation, sense, is that one of the causes of fragmentation. Right? If we say it is, then is there a perception which is total involvement of all senses?
Yes, sir, I think so.
Right?
Yes,
I mean,
I think
you
so.
could.
It's a very, if I may say, very complex thing.
It's I know I want to go through. That's why
If
I
you come to that straight off, sir.
I know, and that's why I didn't want to jump into that. So, what do we mean by this, by the singular sense? I touch, smell, taste, hear, see. They're all so rapid, right?
But in all of them there is subject and object. When you use it in the singular, in all of them there is subject and object.
I wonder.
When you use it in the singular, just cease.
I see, singular. I mean, seeing. There is no I there.
No, see.
No subject,
No,
no
but
object.
then the single sense is not operating.
Yeah, I think this is discovering something new, really, because seeing, as you've used it, is not an I.
There's no. That's a very different thing. But is it a single sense then?
Seeing in the singular, in this. What
So
will you
there is
also?
an element of wanting to see.
No,
or
no
an
one.
element of choice.
No, doctor. No, doctor.
You use the word that I'm seeing this thing. Now,
No, don't say put it this way. Seeing.
but you bring it to introducing. You see, you started with a single sense. Now, in terms of the single sense, is the word seeing applicable at all?
Like touching, like.
You see, in terms of the single sense, you are introducing now seeing.
But he also said no to the object-subject relationship. In one sense, in a single sense.
Now, is there, can you, I mean, all these words are traps, but in seeing, is the single sense operating?
No, seeing.
Seeing the sense.
Seeing.
We know of seeing, like I have the sky in front of me, and I say that so long as my seeing is non-verbal, it is not a division act, it is not a fragmentary act.
But is it a single sense operating?
That's right. Is it a single sense? That is the
It is a single
question.
sense of
So we are asking actually, we are asking what is the cause of fragmentation? Let's go back to that. Somebody suggested is the act of a single act of a sense, singular. Is the act of a singular
sense.
one sense.
Sir,
Huh?
excuse me, when I said perception, I did not mean only seeing.
Then what do you mean by perception?
By perception, I meant the sum total of all the receiving through senses, which is
That
also
is-
sensations and conditioning.
When you perceive with all your senses,
Yes, sir. and receive
No,
everything.
no, just listen to me for a minute. When you perceive with all your senses,
When you feel with all your senses.
no, perceive, feel,
Yes.
no. When you see the sea,
Yes.
the ocean, with all your senses,
Yes.
is there a fragmentation?
No, sir. But when you receive,
And no, we are not talking about receiving, but only
no,
perceiving.
I'm talking about receiving conditioning through everything and accumulating it in your brain or in your mind. And you are at a certain depth within yourself and you perceive from that depth. And the deeper you go,
Madam, let's go slowly, please. We are talking, we are asking what is the root cause of fragmentation, right? Good.
yes, sir.
Somebody suggested it is the sense. And when you look at something or hear something partially, then fragmentation takes place. Partially. When you hear somebody say something totally, with your ears, with your nerves, with your heart, with your mind, completely, there is no fragmentation.
Yes, sir.
That's all we are saying for the moment. Right?
You brought in something
I
which
know.
is still too
I know, I just
far
want,
away.
I know, take,
We know only seeing as fragment. Seeing in which there is subject and object. Recognition and registering, all taking place simultaneously. That's all we know. And now the question that is posed is, why does this fragmentation take place at all? So isn't the inquiry to be turned to the nature of the subject which causes the fragmentation? You say it is one sense, but
I question, Papaji, whether there is a subject at all in seeing.
you say there is no subject in seeing, but you say there is no subject in seeing, but already you have left,
Huh?
you've left, you've
You move.
you've gone over everything.
I'm probably too quick, huh?
No, I'm just trying to, let the discussion open up,
All right. Move.
because you can deepen. That's all right,
But does it not start at naming?
which is the same registry.
From
I mean,
then on,
if you
the
leap,
fragmentation
if you leap into the state of seeing, when all your senses are
I'll
operating,
go then and finish. But that's why I'm sorry, I shouldn't say all that. Proceed.
If we are to open up the discussion a little on this, I'd say that the problem we are facing here is not just a problem of understanding, trying to comprehend, but it's also a problem of communication among ourselves.
Yes.
There's a great difficulty in terms of terminologies and the exactness of words. And I wonder whether you'd like to share your feeling or your attitude towards the whole subject of communication with us.
So the word communication means, sorry for it, I'll repeat it according to dictionary meaning, is to share, to partake, to think over together, to observe together. All that implies communication. Now, I want to tell you something. I'm speaking ordinary English language. I want to tell you, ask you, what is fragmentation? Now, how do you listen to that question? Do you first listen to the question, or you have already an answer to the question?
I have no answer.
Huh?
I have no answer.
What's
I
that?
have no answer when I listen to the question.
What?
I have no answer when I listen to the question.
So, are you listening to the question only? Therefore, you are sharing, partaking in the question. We're not both of us saying there is an answer which we are looking to. We are sharing together the question. So we are together at the same level, right? That's the communication.
Where is one looking?
Huh?
Where is one looking?
No, not I'm.
When I'm asking, I hear that question.
Yes. Let me finish. Communication.
Sir, you said the level. We are at the same level.
Because we're
Could
both
you-
listening to the question.
Yes, sir. But what level is it?
And this is not.
Can you
I use the
verbalize
word
it?
level in the sense we're on the same plane.
Yes, sir. But is it possible to verbalize this plane or the level or the depth of?
Not yet. We are not yet. We're not gone into that yet.
I see.
We are discussing what do we mean by communication. Communication implies sharing together something. You make a statement and I listen to that. I listen to it without any distortion. Right? Moment I distort that, I'm not communicating. Right? So I have to find out how I am listening to you. Have I already twisted what you have said to suit according to my belief condition, all the rest of it, or am I actually listening to you without any distortion? Then there is perfect communication. Like that. Right? Now is that what we are doing now for the moment? He asked, Dr. Schoenberg asked a question, which is, what is the cause of fragmentation? I'm listening to his question. I'm not answering, I'm not discussing it, I'm not saying there is not, and so on. I'm just let the question enter into my brain. Right? Because he speaks English, I speak. If he spoke French, I find French, and so on and so on. So, how do I receive the question? I think that's rather important.
I do not exactly understand what he means by fragmentation, exact meaning that he implies.
Sir,
You're not with.
no, sir, you've already gone off, you see. He says, what is the cause of fragmentation?
Like, and my brain asks, what does he mean by fragmentation?
He says breaking up, something broken up like Hindu Buddhism and so on.
But what is it that is broken up? What breaks up? When the question
Why
arises,
is-
there
why
is
is-
something broken up.
Why is there the idea of India and Pakistan? Why? Who has brought about this?
With all its emotional implications.
Emotional, traditional, all the rest of it. So, I want to, please, may I just listen? I want to listen to, no, I listen to Dr. Schoenberg to the question, what is the root cause of fragmentation? We are investigating, right? Which means there must be freedom to investigate, which means there is no conclusion already which I have about it, and therefore I stop investigation. So there must be freedom of opinion, judgment, evaluation, comparison in order to investigate. Right? Are we doing that? Or we have already got
It really amounts to what is the state of one's consciousness or one's mind. when a question like that is put up and you said just now, it's only one sense that operates. Now, where do I receive that question? The next step will only come if the receiving is without obstacle, which the obstacle being an answer to what you're saying, a further question to what you're saying.
Look, he asked me that question.
Yes.
How do I receive the question? That's really the important point. How do I receive it? Am I receiving it with a fullness? Or fragmented?
Already the ripples have started.
Yeah, that's it. So if I listen to the question without any ripple, there is no fragmentation, right?
Yes, but
I must
you can't just state that. I might, but the matrix might throw up something further still.
Yes.
It's not that it ends there.
The matrix, I want to listen to that question without any movement, right?
Yes.
So, I am sharing with him the question.
Now, I want to ask you one thing. Is the question important?
No.
Or the
way I receive it. The way I receive it. Because that right? The question is going to paint the picture, right?
Is the question which sets the ripples into motion. But if the receiving is right,
Sharon, please, go on, sir.
When you say when the receiving is right, you mean when there is total reception?
No,
meaning
when
to
the
say
receiving is right means when there is
when one is receiving from
silence,
from void.
No, if one observes one's own mind, it's just instead of using one, if one observes, if one is in a state of observation,
right.
When one hears a statement like that, what happens? I mean, let's see for one second what happens.
So you break up into thought.
No, sir. Sir, just look. Pupulji is asking a question, which I'll put it differently. May I? How do you receive when I say I love you? How do you receive that? No, don't go into meditations. No, for God's sake. I'm asking, I say to you, I love you. How do you receive that? Do you receive that as you receive that question? You follow? You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Somebody says to me, I love you. And that, you follow?
Yes.
Or do I listen with that same intensity, that same, beauty or whatever it is, to that statement? What is the root of fragmentation? Or is it an intellectual, verbal reception? Or is a reception or a registration in which the only registration, not a conclusion. It's all become too abstract.
No, sir. Do I receive it with just one sense?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Which is the sense of the ear.
No, I think Krishnamurti was saying more about the intensity with which you receive it.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
But the thing is different.
Is
A
it?
thing like I love you means I receive it in a different way to the
No.
question of fragmentation.
No, sir, when I say to you, I love you, you are.
All, there's not one sense of it.
All of you.
You don't say, well, let's think about it. Let's argue, really. What do you mean by it? You don't play tricks. You are sensitive enough to receive the whole statement and feel that. Do you receive exactly in the same way to that question? And that's just the point. Therefore, there is no community. You follow? See, when somebody says to me, I love you, all my senses are awake, right? When he means it, I'm not just say, I love you, darling, and walk off. I don't mean that. He means it. He's full of it and says, I love you. And that is like a tremendous wave hitting. But in that, there is no registration at all. Right? I don't know if you see that. In the other, there is registration. Then we begin to argue, then we say, yes, let's find out, etc., etc., etc. Therefore, we receive the question with a mind which is already fragmented. Therefore, the answers will be fragmented. What do you say, Doctor?
Well, I'm listening, and I hear coming up is what is the relationship between those two?
That's just it.
I know those two are there.
So, if I say to you, I'm sorry, forgive me, guys, I hate you, you receive it entirely differently.
Maybe, maybe not.
No, come, sir, no, So, we are always operating on senses, hearing, translating. So I say that is the root of fragmentation. You understand, sir? Am I right?
I don't think so.
Huh?
I think it comes, you see, I think when Pupaji asked a question earlier today where she said, well, we would be postulating this, in some way we're postulating this total perception.
We must go very much slower, sir.
Right.
All right, that's good.
Look, you say to me, okay, we'll take your metaphor. You say, I hate you. And you say, I hear you in a specific fragmented way, let's say.
But I love you.
You say, if I hear that, then it makes a difference.
That's a totally different reaction.
Okay. Now, but however, now you've said to me, I hate you, using your example. And I hear it in this fragmented way. And I get mad.
That is the root of fragmentation.
I question
that. Which is pleasant.
Yeah.
You receive.
Also causes fragmentation.
I'm going to wait. Both of you don't jump in. Wait. When I hear, what was it?
When you hear that something pleasant.
Pleasant. What takes place?
There's also fragmentation.
Huh?
There's also fragmentation. I feel good.
I like it.
I like it.
So what is that? So that is a pleasurable sensation is a fragmentation.
So is a non-pleasant.
And not, which is the opposite of it. Love is not the opposite of hate.
No, that's why when you brought up love, I thought you were bringing in.
I know, and that's why I jumped to, sorry, forgive me, let's begin again, sorry. What is the cause of fragmentation? Forget everything we talked about.
Right.
Start again. What is the cause of fragmentation? This gentleman suggested thought. And he went on to say it's ripple in consciousness. I stop immediately. I don't know what he means by consciousness. I don't know what he means a ripple in consciousness. But if he said to me, thought is the root of fragmentation, then I listened to it. Now I said, then my question then is, what is thought? Why is thought? Why making everything fragment? Why?
Isn't that a fragmented question? Why?
No, sir. No, sir. We are investigating.
But still, we're investigating fragmentedly.
No, it may be. That's all I know.
Okay. Let's stay.
I'm sticking to what I know.
Okay.
I thought. Is thought the root of fragmentation? He said so.
Is it thought or the thinker?
Is there a thinker without thought?
This is one of the crucial things in all this.
You
keep on saying, is there thought, thinker without thought? But inwardly, deeply, from this side, do I ever come to a point when I'm...
The thinker comes with the thought.
No, but
The
that's
moment I
it.
think I'm a Hindu, I become a Hindu.
Forgive me.
No, sir. No. Moment you think you don't become a Hindu. Moment you think you don't become a Christian.
Right? Thought brings it.
We must go, that's why we must go
Can
very
I say
slowly.
that if you say that, is there a thinker without thought? But that sense, that is the crucial point, Krishnaji.
Yes,
They
I
go
understand.
around everywhere, but the crucial point is the thinker.
All right, shall we discuss that?
Yes.
Sir, I think we should, what you asked first, we should go into it. And then
Can you go into it without going into the thinker?
No, because Krishna ji said, why is thought fragmented?
No, but
No.
you see, you go into why is thought fragmented without going into the problem of the thinker.
They are related.
If you did not have a thinker and just had thoughts,
You see, you
Right,
understood?
would be a
probably we
different
can examine what is
No,
thought.
madam, I mean, please listen to what she said just now, which is, without the thinker, is there a fragmentation? It is the thinker that makes for fragmentation. That's what she's trying to say, right?
yes,
If there was only thinking, and no, I think, we think, or so on, there's only thinking, there's no fragmentation, it's a thinking.
Right.
So only when there is the thinker steps in and says, I think, right? And so on, so on. So the thinker may be the root of fragmentation. So then we have to find out what is the structure and the nature of the thinker.
Right.
and if I may say so, no statement will dissolve the thinker.
No statement. No, but I must know how the thinker has come into being, what is nature, what is structure.
Yes, you can go into
That's see. Some of us are very new at this, forgive me. We have been at this for many years. So it's fair we can jump into things. But so let's begin. Thought, thinking, does it bring about fragmentation? Or does the thinker bring about fragmentation?
Yeah.
Or very act of thinking is fragmentation.
Or what is thinking without a
Wait,
thinker?
let me get this clear before you. Thinking and the thinker both bring about fragmentation. Right? Thinking.
So I'll just ask you a question. A poem goes through my mind. It is words, it is thought, it is
I hope kids.
Is that act of a poem going through consciousness fragmented in itself? If you say all thinking brings about fragmentation, then a poem going through my mind would be fragmentation.
Obviously.
But is it fragmentation? Just a poem going through my mind.
Is this investigation thinking fragmentation?
You're all so many questions.
But you see, you.
Look, Popaji, I want to find out what is the root of fragmentation. And I see from everything we have discussed so far that thought is the root of it. For the moment, I'm just thought. And Popul then says, without understanding this nature of structure of the thinker, merely investigating thought will have no consequence. What will have consequence or movement further is to investigate the thinker. This, to investigate what he is or what she is, can be investigated into the thinker.
Is it a question of investigation, or is it a question of observing the thinker in operation?
Can the thinker observe
No.
the thinker?
But they can. Is it possible for there to be an observation of the thinker in operation? And put it.
I think you're putting a wrong question. Forgive me to be which is there a thinker without thought? Thought has created a thinker.
This is where you and
No, I'll go into different one. Thought has created the thinker.
What is that? Let's go into that. The thought creating the thinker.
Yes, because thought is in a flux. It's always changing, modifying. Thought realizes itself as in that there is no stability, there is no continuity. It's broken up all the time. So thought creates the thinker as something positive, something that's enduring, something that's lasting, which is the past. Thinker is the past. Let me finish and then you can jump on. Thinker is the past. So that is stable. There is no uncertainty about it. Whereas thought by itself is constantly modifying, constantly changing, being pushed around and this and that. Whereas the thinker is always stable.
May I ask you one question? You have said the thought creates the thinker. I ask you a question. Can there be thought if there is no thinker?
Can there be thought? Well, yes. Of course.
So you're saying something more. You're saying then the act of making stability.
No, security, thought, sir. Oh my God.
To answer that question, but I want
Wait,
to go
wait,
into
let me
this
finish.
question.
Thought is insecure, right? Brain cannot stand insecurity. Thought then creates the thinker to give it a security so that the brain can function rationally, all the rest effectively. Because the brain needs security, right? So the thinker, which is the past, in that there's security. My knowledge, my belief, the past, my memories, remembrances, the pictures, the images, the sexual pleasures, and the whole of that part is the thinker.
This first statement that thought realizes that it is insecure in terms of time.
No, sir, don't you realize that when you
realize that?
Doesn't your thinking realize how unstable thinking is? Huh?
I question that. I think there's something much deeper there.
Oh, there is, sir. First, we'll go into presently. Let's first stick to the one or two obvious things, which is thought is in a flux, right? And the brain cannot stand or act effectively unless it's completely secure. Baby, a child needs security. Sir, your own brain, you can watch it. That it demands security, safety. It demands order. Otherwise, it can't function. If I'm a businessman, I've got the business brain. It must function orderly, which is security. We will tell you. I don't have to. Right, sir? A computer is very orderly. No? So, well, I've finished.
But I have still not understood how thought can be without the thinker.
You haven't understood how there can be thought without the thinker. Can you not have a dialogue without the thinker? Thinker being my opinion, my judgment, my evaluation, my tradition, my past remembrances, all that. Just think clearly.
Thinking is a question
I
of
see,
words, of word formation.
Not quite, but you see, thinking is the movement of the past.
Yes, that's why I'm asking. If it is a movement of the past, can that movement, which are word formations,
not only word
visual forms,
etc., etc.
If the thinker was not giving strength to the past, if the thinker was not, what would be the momentum?
Momentum is the past,
Which is the thinker,
which is also thought.
which is also the thinker.
No, I agree. Thought has divided itself as the thought and the thinker.
Yes, but you are saying that the past will flow irrespective of the thinker.
What's that?
That the past will flow irrespective of the thinker.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Let me get this. The thought, the past is in constant movement without the thinker. That means the past only comes into past meeting the present, challenging the present, then the thinker arises. Right? The past, which is the thought and the thinker, when that movement is challenged or blocked or questioned, then the thinker says, I have this opinion, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm this and so on. Right?
Suppose there was no thinker.
If there was no thinker, what happens? There is only the movement of the past meeting the present, modifying itself and going on.
Sir, if the thinker is not present, is not in operation, is there modification of the present?
Yes, Pupu, look. I am a Catholic,
But the
no
thinker
longer
says,
an Arab.
The thinker says I'm a Catholic.
No, my brain is conditioned to think I'm an Arab, a Catholic. The brain is conditioned from childhood to think in terms of Catholicism. And that's the movement of the past. It meets the present, and that movement is challenged. Then I say, I'm a Catholic. Then I say, I don't believe in anything except in poor Jesus.
And what happens when the thinker is not?
Thinker has already come into operation.
No, but when you say thinking can be without the thinker,
That can only be when there is no conditioning as the thought, conditioning as a thinker, as seven. You are neither Hindu, Buddhist, none of those silly stuff. You have no opinions, no judgment. You are merely thinking, observing.
but here you're putting thinking and observing together.
No. See, that's too good. There is only the movement of the past as thought. That movement is based on knowledge, experience, memory.
That's the stream which flows.
That's a stream that's going on and on and on. That stream is always meeting the present and modifying itself, which is obvious. No.
You mean without the thinker it modifies the
No,
present?
no. The thinker is beginning to operate when challenged, that movement.
Yes.
Then he modifies it. I am a Catholic. I'm not conscious. I go to Mass and repeat all that confession and go through all that. I'm just Catholic. The moment I'm questioned, the past meeting the present,
No,
then there is a modification.
I understand that. But we are not talking of a state when one is asleep and conditioning just goes on and the thinker rises when there is challenge, etc. We are thinking of a state when the thinker is not.
Yes.
Which is a very different state.
That is a totally different state.
Totally.
Which means there is an thinking. See that again, we must go into the problem of what is thinking. Thinking is the response of memory, experience, knowledge stored in the brain.
Yes. Which is the past.
Which is the past. So all thinking is the movement of the past.
Yeah.
That movement, which is thought, says there must be stability somewhere in.
I understand all that.
Now,
you made a statement that thinking can flow without the thinker.
Which is happening now.
Oh,
Now it is happening now. Right? Where are we?
Yes.
Have we left you behind somewhere?
No.
All right, good.
I wanted to raise a question to Doctor here. I mean, we've sat here discussing fragmentation and the causes of fragmentation, etc. I want to know where this question sprang from, as to whether this was something that troubles you, or whether it was something you just wanted to know. Because I feel that we've been discussing a lot of things which are interesting to know, which might help expand our awareness of things a little, but how fundamentally do they affect our lives? In terms
I'll show you, sir. Dr. Shenberg asked a question, fragmentation. He says, can there be an end to fragmentation? That's the really question behind that. He says, I live a fragmented life, not he, I'm just saying, I'm not being personal. I live, suppose one says, I live a fragmented life. I see what a fragmented life does in my daily life. Quarrels.
Is that the problem? This is what I want to know.
This I see it. I see what the way I live is a fragmented way. Business, you follow? It's all broken up. And I'm sick of it because it brings lots of problems, pain, suffering. And my question is then, is there an action in daily life which is non-fragmented? That's what is behind that question. Right, sir? Now that's what we're discussing. Is there an action which is so complete, there is no remembrance of it? I mustn't.
Because if such an action is there, then all these other problems of selfishness,
that's all becomes
all
wiped out.
And without that, nothing can be wiped out. It's really constant.
I can be unselfish, try to be unselfish, still fragmented. So I'm asking a question. In my life, I know what the consequences of a fragmented action, life. And I say, for God's sake, tell me if there is a way of living which is non-fragmented. Not theory, actual as a truth. So he says, can we discuss that? You cannot discuss that unless you understand the whole movement of fragmentation. Or you can see the whole thing instantly and out. See, have an insight into the whole of fragmentation, and that very insight, you're out of fragmentation. That's very rare. Right? So, we're asking, what is the cause of it? Can this fragmentation end? So that every action is complete. You follow? Not carried on, causation, chain of causation. This is really an immense question, you understand? It's not just a morning affair. I have to find out if my life is fragmented. Wait, to find that out, have I actually realized the fragmentation, or is it an idea which I accept and work out that idea? You follow it? Do you understand? No, not quite. So there is a difference between knowing that you are hungry and being told that you are hungry. Right? Right? Now which is it here? Do you know you are fragmented, or you are told you are fragmented? Right? Which is it? No, in a sense, yes, I'm hungry.
As for me, I say I am fragmented.
No, I ask a different question. Is there the realization that there is a fragment, that you live a fragmented life?
Yes.
Right? You realize, you say yes, I do. The next question is, do you see the whole consequences of a fragmented life?
Not the whole.
Why not?
Because I have not been deeply troubled enough by this fragmentation.
Huh?
I have not been deeply troubled enough by the extent of
And
my
that means,
fragmentation.
yes, that means quite. I'm not analyzing you, sir.
No, sir.
You only realize, you're saying I only realize a fragmented life only when there's great pain. Right? When there's real blow, a crisis, a sorrow. And you say, wait, I'm waiting for that. Right?
And I have experienced it.
Huh?
And I have experienced it.
Experience?
I have experienced it.
I have experienced the effects of fragmentation.
Yes, which means a remembrance of something.
Yes.
That's dead already.
It's gone.
Gone. So, fragmentation. What does it mean to you? Actually.
For me, it is the division
Yes.
between knowing what I should do and what I do.
Yes. That's one fact. One.
And the single most important one for me personally.
Think one thing and do another.
This.
Huh? Is that
To
it?
know that perhaps I should do this, but in fact I do
Yes.
something else.
Why is there this division? Know what you should do and do the opposite. Why is there this difference?
As I said earlier, in my case, sometimes it arises out of selfishness.
No, don't reduce to the word self. Just hold on a minute.
Yes.
Why is there this division? Which means you have a choice, haven't you?
Yes.
Why do you have a choice?
Because of preconceptions.
Huh?
Because of preconceptions.
No.
And because one is easier than the other, sir.
No, sir, no. If you saw clearly, or if you know the road to some place, there's no choice. Right? You know the road, you go along. It's only when you are confused which road to take, then there's choice. No? So out of confusion, you choose. Right?
Not
If you saw clearly, sir, there's no choice.
So, but one has to also to accept, not accept, but face the fact that we have negativities within ourselves as well.
I question if there is an opposite at all. Sorry, you can see that today. I'm angry, violent. And there is the opposite, which is non-violent, right? Right? Why do I make an opposite? Why is there an opposite? Only the fact is I'm violent. Why should I have an opposite? You understand, sir? So, I have an opposite because I don't know what to do with this. That has been one of my conditioning. Say yes, when you're violent, try to become non-violent. Right? This is the whole traditional approach. Whereas you say, I'm violent. That's the only fact, and everything else is non-fact. Right? Then the problem is it possible to transcend, go beyond what is? Not into the opposite. Right? Am I talking to myself? Right? You follow, sir? India has had this everlasting non-violence. It is an escape from what is. Right? If the mind is capable of understanding and going beyond what is, what is the necessity of non-violence? Then I'm free, there's freedom from both. Follow? All of you understand? So I lead a fragmentary life. Now I want to find out if it is possible to be free of fragmented life. I don't know what it is to live a life which is non-fragmented. I don't know. But then it becomes mere speculation that's useless. The actual fact is, my life is fragmented, which is contradiction, comparison, imitation, conformity. All those are all forms of fragmentation. So can I live a life without comparison? So, not compare myself with anything. Then finish. What do you say, sir?
I think we got somewhere.
If I say to myself, if I say I'm a liar, I can deal with it, right? But if I say I told a lie because of this and this and this and this, then I'm running away from it. If I don't run away, I can deal with it. When we will meet again?
Dr. Schoenberg is going away Monday afternoon. So if we're going to have one more with him, then the only possibility is Monday morning, but I don't know whether you will be tired.
Sunday evening, I thought. We'll see. All right, sir.